Hello, this is Dustin from Dustin's Dollars, back again. Today we're going to be talking once again about Knightscope stock. I'm going to be talking about what is the market capitalization because I've seen some questions online and I've seen some incorrect answers out there, including Yahoo Finance. So not really sure what's going on there. Um, but today I'm going to walk through that. Before I get going, real quick, let me remind you I am not a financial advisor, not a financial professional of any sort, not affiliated with Knightscope, and I don't speak for any company right now. Everything in here is an opinion, pretty much, and it's my opinion only, not that of anybody else or any other company. So, with that being said, let's get into it. And, uh, oops, sorry, did something with the window over here. So I do have here's just our results for the day on Yahoo Finance brought up, and we ended the day up 30%, which is roughly where pretty close to where it ended after hours on Friday. So that was pretty interesting that we ended there. We actually hit a high of 27.50. That was pretty incredible. You can see here on the chart came down from that, but hey, I'm holding. I assume a lot of you are too. So um, buckled in, ready for the roller coaster ride. But talking about the market capitalization here, right? So, 2140, it doesn't really matter. That's not enough information for us to really gauge the company, and so it matters what's the market cap, right? And I assume most serious investors, every serious investor, would know that, but Yahoo Finance has it wrong here. It says we're 85 million market cap, and that's just not right. We are way higher than that, right? That the At the raise at $10, I think they were targeting a market cap of like 550 million. But I decided to pull up and we're obviously more than double that stock price right now, price per share. But I pulled up the SEC filing. This is our most recent. I think it's a 1A. Taken from that. This is from January 21st. This is very, very recent. Granted, some of these numbers are as of a prior date, but first they have this listing of just how many shares they had. This is the initial print here for the offering itself, the most recent offering. And so they talk about how the different classes of shares here, and I'll go through this in just a second, real briefly. But they have it all listed out here. And note that these two first lines, this is how many there were actually outstanding before the offering. And here's how many there would be if the offering had been fully subscribed. You can see that's exactly 4 million shares, which they did not sell all of those. So some of these numbers will be not precise because I don't recall exactly how many they. It was like 2.2 million or something out of the 4 million they were seeking to sell. But you can see here they have a number of classes of stock. They have the Class A commons and the Class B commons. You can read through the fine print, obviously, in their filing. My takeaway, I think, is roughly only the Class A's are what's listed. That's what trades on the Nasdaq, and that's what we see on Yahoo Finance. But the Class B's, if I recall, I think are converted, able to be converted 1-to-1. The only difference, not the only difference, the primary difference, as I see it, I think, is that the Class B's cast more votes when it comes to the annual voting that they do. I think they're like 10 votes, whereas the Class A's are 1 vote. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is. But in terms of market cap, I'm going to assume that they're, equal to the Class A's. Then there's a number of series of preferred stock, A, B, M, M1, M2, M3, and I actually have not read into the details of all of those. And then there's the Series S preferreds, and I've read in the details of those because I hold those. And none of the preferred stock trades. It's not listed anywhere as far as I know. But I think they are all convertible into Class A's, and they are not convertible necessarily 1-to-1. But they are close to 1-to-1. I don't think any of these are like 10-to-1 or any crazy things like that. Although I could be wrong. It's been a bit since I read through these. Going a bit off of memory here, but I think most of these, yeah. So this is this is this of your list of share price, but I think this is the actual potential shares you would get if you converted them. And most of these are 1-to-1. Now there's an asterisk here. Like I said, some of these do convert at a ratio, but you can see here this is it. There are also some, this also goes through if you look at this table. Sorry, this is in the same filing. Just scroll down. I had it ready to go. And this also shows how many outstanding stock options and warrants they have, right? And so that's important. I include those when I'm calculating market cap for myself, because even though those shares haven't actually been issued yet, they could be, right? It's dilution that's already sort of planned for the future, and it's sort of maybe not 100% will actually happen, but the vast majority of that will, in my experience. Especially if the company does well, which is the scenario in which you really care about what the market cap is. So if we look at all that, right, there's currently issued, I think these are all as converted, other than the conversion ratios I'm going to talk about in a second. So I think this is a fair amount. This is, would point to 55 million shares if they had sold all 4,000. Sorry, I know that might be, let me get a little small. Let me see if I can zoom out. That wasn't good. That was way too far. Well, hopefully you can read that. So this is 55, just above 55 million shares if they had actually sold all 4 million. They did not. They're about, let's just round it, about 2 million shy of that. So that's about 53 million issued and potential shares here, right? And there is that asterisk there that I said, and there are these conversion ratios. The Series M and the M2s have this pretty. Let me see if I can make that a little bigger. Maybe that helps. Maybe it doesn't. But they are, you get an extra 2% for your shares. That's really not a whole lot. If I compare these numbers on the left and numbers on the right, we're talking like about 100,000 shares. That's kind of a rounding error at this point. However, the Series S does have this, 10% extra. And so that gets you about another 500,000 shares here, slightly more, maybe 600,000. So let's, we have the 600,000 and the 100,000 from this. And then, if you scroll up, I figure if they actually, they sold 2.2 million there. So let's just do rough math, right? If we start with 55, let's do this just in million. So we started with 55 million minus 2 million because they didn't actually sell all 4 million here. And then plus, what did I say, 0.6 and plus 0.1. That puts us at about 53.7 million issued and potential shares, right? If everybody who holds the preferreds converted it, all the Class Bs were converted. I think that's a fair estimate that we should use when we're calculating market cap. So if we go back, let's take a look and see here. So at a price per share of 21.40, 53.7 million shares, we would be at, right now, our market cap is about 1.15 billion, which is huge. It's mind-boggling that we are that big with the company in its current state. But as we know, the market is future looking, and I think that's a recognition of what I feel like I'm a broken record. I've mentioned multiple times is yeah, I got a message on the chat. I have no idea what that means, if my app's working properly. Sorry if my app isn't working properly. I'm gonna look into this afterwards, but that doesn't look like anything I can understand. I'm sorry, but hi there. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Man, I really hope that's not my application not working properly. But what I was saying, just to continue on the train of thought there, is, I think we have a huge total addressable market. We have a huge opportunity in front of us for the company, and we'll see. The market is clearly future looking to value Knightscope at over $1 billion right now, with the, what is it, 3 million in revenues, 4 million in revenues, whatever. Obviously that's an astronomical price of sales, but again, this company could grow revenues very quickly. Another thing I had hinted at this the last live stream, and I'm not going to go through all the details here. But one thing that I mentioned is, we might see some funds buying Knightscope pretty soon. And obviously, some of the volume as institutional investors or people with money. You don't see 40 million shares traded in volume without some, retail isn't doing that. We'll just say that. But I did do a little bit of looking on, you know, what kinds of funds might be buying, and I did just a tiny bit of research, and I think you're going to see just a couple examples here to go through. I think we'll see, some of these sort of funds like this that are the total stock market funds, right? I think those will be buying in, and Knightscope will be a tiny little blip on these funds, but hey, that is some shares that will be bought and will be being held. I think we'll also see, what is this? Cookies. You also see some of the, like small cap ETFs, right? I think they'll be maybe included. I'm not sure if this is like a defined index. Is this the Russell 2000 maybe that it tracks? I'm actually not sure, but I can envision Knightscope being started being included in some of these types of ETFs. And then you've also got some of these sort of sector ETFs, I think, right? And I think maybe, I don't know if I'm not sure if we are, do we have this included in this like SEC standard information? Sector industrials. Well, that's interesting. I would have thought we'd be some sort of technology, but okay. Anyways, industrials, I guess, interesting. I guess that we're in security and protection services. That one makes sense. Just interesting as a classification there for the sector. But I think you'll see some sort of sector ETFs will go in there, and then this is one that is more targeted, that specifically tracks robotics type companies, and I think you'll see ETFs of this sort coming in. And ARK, I mentioned this one. ARK Invest also has a autonomous tech and robotics ETF here, which if ARK starts buying in, that actually brings some publicity to the company. And I think they're not quite as in favor as they were a year ago when they were huge winners on Tesla and some of the other companies that they bought in early and were just killing it, had massive returns. But I think there's still a pretty loyal following for some of the ARK funds, and I think it would bring some good publicity for the investor side. I made just a super small spreadsheet here. Let's see if I can make that a little bigger. I didn't even calculate the final thing. It doesn't matter. But this is I looked at each one of these actual ETFs or funds, and then I looked at I just picked out a comparable ticker that I thought was either a robotics company or something that was if you squint, similar market cap in a similar situation where they're not hugely profitable yet, and looked at what percent of that company did the ETF own. And, if you look at these, some of these ETFs do own big chunks of those. And this IJR, I think, was that small cap company. They own 7% of iRobot, I think, is the ticker there. I thought that was interesting. But even altogether, you can see they're owning, this is not trivial percentages, right? Like even at 0.5%, that's a lot. That's a lot of the company. And some of these are owning 3%, 1.68%, and 7%. Man, I mean, if some of these funds start buying in, including Knightscope, like that could be a huge boost. To the stock price, like taking what's already a pretty low float company even more off the market, and that supply and demand is just gonna do its thing. So anyways, interesting stuff. We'll see how it goes as always. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later. See ya.